Hi, everyone. This is Tammy, owner of Worthyworthitpriceless, and today's podcast is titled You Can't Save Everyone. So, last week, Yavea, my daughter, started school, and when she got on the bus, she was crying a little, and not just a little, like she was just really upset. So, as I could hear her as I was going back, basically back to the house. I could hear her crying. I'm like, man, I should get her a pacifier. Now, although I'm trying to get her off her pacifier, I realize that she kind of needs it for her autism and her sensory issues. The pacifier actually, or the chewing actually, calms her down. So I wanted to get her pacifier, and I felt so bad that I didn't actually have it already ready and all that other stuff. And by the time I did get it ready, the bus actually had pulled off. But once I got into the house and got situated, her counselor called me, and her counselor was like, they had a meeting the day before school started, and that Yavea was going to have a new teacher. She was going to have new students in her class, and she was also going to be in a different classroom. Like they wasn't going to be in the same classroom, just with a different teacher. Her classroom location was going to change as well. So that was like a whole bunch of other changes for Uvea, and I'm like, oh my goodness, because I know she doesn't really do good with changes, especially at with her situation. So even with that, I'm like, oh my goodness, I wish I really would have got her a pacifier, even though, I couldn't have helped her at school, but at least it would have helped her on the bus because, at least give her some sort of comfort. And for me, it's like I try to be there for her for everything. Um, Me and my daughter actually had a bond, even obviously like before she was even born. Like I was really like praying over her, trying to protect her in every little way that I could, and try to protect my emotions so it actually didn't affect her as much. And so I believe that actually came over as for her actually being on the outside of my body. And I try to protect her as much as I can. And we just have like this really strong bond. Even like the day she was born, I remember the nurses was trying to calm her down or anything, and the only thing that would calm her down was actually me. So we've had a bond ever since she was born. And especially I'm even more protective over her now because she has the autism and everything like that. So it's a lot that goes with it. But either way, so I ended up going to school, going to work, and I'm like, and I was just thinking about it, I'm like, man, I should have got her pacifier. I was just like beating myself up over the pacifier. And so I was telling my coworkers about the situation, and one of my coworkers was like, no, you didn't have to get her a pacifier because she really didn't need it. Like she's, what I mean, like, and even though she was crying and everything, by the time she gets to school, she'll be fine and she'll realize how exhausting it was for her crying and all this other stuff. And she said that you will probably be more messed up than she will, you know what I mean? So, I was like, okay, that kind of made me feel a little better because I'm like, yeah, Vea, she probably really doesn't need a pacifier, this, that, and the third. So I went on, with work, whatever. Work was over. I couldn't wait for her to get off of school. She got out of school, and I asked her bus aide. I was like, well, how was she? Was she okay? You know what I mean? Because like I said, I was worried about it. And her bus aide was like, yeah, she was fine. Once we started going, she was fine. I'm like, what? And so, and then when I got she has a progress report every day from school. Her teachers will write me a note or whatever, and on the note, her teacher was like, "Oh yeah, there was a little confusion when she started, but other than that, she was fine. Um, Basically, she had a great day." I'm like, "What?" So I'm sitting up here stressed the whole day or whatever over her situation, and Yavea was fine. And that goes to say, a lot of times we try to stop people from basically having to deal with certain things. Like we want to help them, like how I want to help Fail with her pacifier. But at the end of the day, once I would have gave her pacifier, she still would have had, or she still had other challenges as soon as she got into school. And think about it, like Yavea is 3, she'll be 4 next month. So at the end of the day, she's not even started school yet. So there's a whole long, she has like what, 13 years, including kindergarten, that she has to go through these types of situations. And even though I try to be there for her as much as I can. I can't stop her from the life experiences that she has to go through. And that is basically a testament to anyone who is a nurturer, who's an encourager, anything like that. We try to help people to be their best selves. But a lot of times, if they don't see it in themselves, they'll never get it. And we want to help them and navigate, like, I went through this, so I'm trying to help you or give you the encouragement so you don't have to go through it. And a lot of times people, they're going to do what they want to do anyway. And so we basically mess up our emotions and mess up everything, and that person goes off to be fine. You can't stop people from experiencing life. I could have given my daughter the pacifier, but that would have been two problems. Now it's a problem with, also another problem with getting her off the pacifier, but then there's another problem, like I said, once she gets into school. That pacifier isn't going to help her because I know as soon as she gets into school, they're going to take it from her anyway. And so, that's even prolonging that need and everything like that. And a lot of times what we do is all we're doing is prolonging the inevitable. Certain people have to go through experiences to learn something. That's how you learn. And although we want to stop people from the hurt that we may have experienced, like if you see someone going through something, like, you know what, maybe you should do it this way because this is how it happened to me, and all you're trying to do is actually help them. But for the most part, they may need to go through that to actually grow, and we may be stopping them from doing that. You know what I mean? Like, Yavea is going to have to learn one way or another. And whoever that you may be helping in your life, they're going to have to go through whatever situations they're going to have to go through. And you have to let them experience that. Because whatever hardships or anything that they may be going through, or or that you are trying to prevent them from going through, they may be a better person on the other side. But you'll never know that unless you let them go through it. And I know a lot of times we just want to help people and we want to be there for them, but you just can't save everyone because God has a mission for you that you have to do in your life. And you can never get to what you're going through if you're trying to help everyone else. You'll never reach your full potential if you're always trying to save everybody else. Now, think about it. As the day went on, I was a little bit better, but for the most part, my mind was with my daughter. I was at work. I had a job to do. There's something that I have to do in order for us to have a roof over our head and everything else. I can't really do my job properly because I'm worried about my daughter. My daughter goes off to school and she's fine. But I'm sitting up here worried, like, oh my God, oh my God. And she's fine. And that's where a lot of times how it happens in life. We're so worried about someone else or we're trying to help someone else that we're not actually living or enjoying our life. And that's not actually what God wants us to do. You have to realize that, like I said, we're all here for a specific purpose. You can help somebody, there's nothing wrong with that. But don't go overboard with it to the point that it messes you up. Because I see so many people trying to help everyone else. And then as soon as, they may not be around, the person does what you didn't want them to do anyway. And you're just like, I just wasted all this time trying to get you not to do this, and you did it anyway. You know what I mean? And you just can't stop people from experiencing life. They're going to have to go through whatever God has them to go through, and you just going to have to be there. If you want to be there, you don't have to, but you know what I mean? If you're going to be a shoulder to cry on, just be a shoulder to cry on, because there's no reason for you to kill yourself, basically your emotions, and mess up your day and this, that, and the third over someone else who's not going to listen to you anyway. That's just like if you're working somewhere and you have that coworker and you're trying to stop them from quitting their job. And you're like, oh no, this is a good job. You just got to see it this way. You changing your perspective. Da, da, da. And the one day, just say you get sick or something like that, or you have to take a day off, and you take your day off, and then guess what happens? That coworker that you've been talking to this whole time, making sure that they don't quit, guess what they do? They quit. So at the end of the day, you're trying to stop them from doing something that they want to do anyway. And I know that you're trying to save people and everything, and you want to stop them from going through certain things, but a lot of times you just can't. And that is just basically how life is. You have to let people have their bumps and bruises just like how you had. You can give them some what advice, but you see if they're not going to listen, you're just going to have to let that go, and you're going to have to walk away from that situation as best as you can, or at least have patience with them. Be like, hey, I'll be your shoulder to cry on if you need it, but hey, that's all that you can do. So basically, with that being said, just don't beat yourself up over situations. People are going to do what they want to do anyway, and you can be there for them if you would like to be there. If you don't want to be there, I understand that as well. And no one's going to fight you or fault you for that, because you can only do so much for anyone. So just don't be so hard on yourself. And just so you know, and just know that you are worthy, worth it, and priceless. And until next time,